What's up, YouTube? I haven't had a chance to make a vlog in a really long time. I haven't had a chance to spend as much time coming up with the videos and stuff that I wanted to. But right now, I'm on my way to an isolation pod or a sensory deprivation tank, which is a form of therapy that hasn't really taken off in America. I guess it has. I guess America and the UK are the most notorious places for having these float sessions or float shops or float tanks or places where you can go to float. I guess it's similar to a massage or a spa, acupuncture. You know, people do a lot of stuff to de-stress and to feel good and energized, but it's really unique in the sense that inside of this pod, you get inside of it and there's like 12 inches of water, and this 12 inches of water has in it 800 to 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt. And the Epsom salt allows you to be buoyant in this water so that you can't sink in it. So when you lay down inside the water, you automatically begin to float, which I think is pretty dope. And you have the option of going in with a light. Some of them have lights, so you can have on like a colored or flashing light or something that kind of just give you an ambience, so you're not totally afraid of being, you know, enclosed or trapped in this like enclosure with this water, depending on what type of person you are. Maybe some people don't like water, or just like the feeling of being confined to a tight space makes you claustrophobic or something. Or you have the option of going in, much like what I'm about to do, without any light. And that is where you really can strip yourself of all sensory input, because your brain doesn't have anything to process other than darkness and silence, because the pod is going to be soundproof and also pitch black. So yeah, found this place in Midland, Michigan. I had to book a session. There's really no other environment in the world that can really reduce, I don't like saying deprived because I think it sounds like, you know, bad, like something's being taken away from you. So I don't want to say sensory deprivation, because that really does have like a bad connotation to it. But, you know, sensory reduction, and really just allowing yourself to minimize the amount of work your brain has to do as far as processing things that are going on around you. And there's really no other place where you can go and be totally still, totally silent, and float. Like, that sounds like something that astronauts would do, right? But even astronauts are still prone to visually seeing the distance of the Earth or the stars outside of the spaceship or something like that. So even they can't go into complete darkness and silence and not hear anything, you know? So I think it's a really, really unique experience that I just knew for a fact, no matter how afraid I was, no matter the bad stories that I heard tons of good ones, heard tons of bad ones, but no matter what, it was like, you know you're gonna do it, Darren. That's the only way you're gonna put your mind to rest, is if you actually personally go do it. So I couldn't wait. I couldn't really take it. I'm clearly on the road right now. We're on our way to Midland. So yeah, you guys are gonna come with me on my first float session, and this is gonna be incredible. I'm ready to take full advantage of it. So I booked an hour-long session. So my first one is gonna be 60 minutes. I've seen people do upwards of like 4 to 5 hours on their first session, or just in sessions in general. Don't know if I want to go that high, but yeah, we're gonna start off with an hour and see what goes, what happens from there. Can you talk about what we're getting ready to do here and what's going on?
This is a Superior float tank. This is you know, we're in good company here. Tom Brady has the same model in his house. The company that makes this, they've been super good. When we ordered it, they shipped it, everything came just the way they said it would. Everything works just the same way that they said it would.
Yeah.
It's easy, man. This thing talks to you. So when you get in, you lay back, you're gonna rise right to the top. Okay. Right? And then you're gonna push one of these buttons. Explain to you that you can adjust the lighting and the music. Okay. This is for people who are just trying to get the benefits of the magnesium sulfate.
Okay.
You're interested in the sensory sensory deprivation, so you're gonna turn the light off and you're gonna turn the music off, and at the end of the session, the light will fade on, let you know that your session's ended.
Sweet. Perfect. And then the temperature of the water, I heard that there's something special about that?
Yeah, 93.5 degrees. It's got two types of heating systems. There's an in-tank heater that's underneath in here that keeps it constant while you're in there. And then when people aren't in there, there's a pump filter, so while it filters itself.
Beautiful.
So the water is super clean. It uses UV rays and ozone to once an hour it turns itself on as long as nobody's in here.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm ready to get to it. I'm ready to do this.
That's it.
I'm excited. First float session. I'm definitely gonna be back again. Like I said, 90-minute session for my first time. You can do 60 minutes or go as low as 30, but to me, that 90 right there was great. And thank you to Kevin for giving me that to let me try 90 minutes, man, because that turned out to be incredible. I literally don't even know how to describe the feeling I feel right now. You should all be jealous, pretty much, that you don't feel the way I do. I'm gonna let it settle in on the way home. You know, while I'm driving, just kind of ponder how to describe this feeling for y'all. I felt so amazing when I first walked out of the room that I literally walked out almost without pain. I feel incredible, man.
Good.
Thank you so much. All right, we are out of here, man. I'll be back. It's time to bring some family members with me to get them in there, man. Oh, I'm sorry. What am I doing? I'm like, I'm just, yo, I'm in.
A lot of people are like, thanks, man, that was so awesome. And then leave. Sometimes we'll get talking about them, and I'm like, oh.
I didn't do it. I didn't make it to the door, but I was just like recapping my experience with Kevin. I was just like, yo, it feels amazing, bro. I feel great. And just almost walked out the door without paying. Oddly enough, he says a really common thing. You just feel so like euphoric, I guess, that you don't consider that you didn't pay before you got in and had this experience. Like, but that's really cool because you don't mind paying at all once you have the experience. I'm gonna describe this experience as best I can to you guys. I don't want to put too much of my personal opinion into this review because I really don't want to hinder you guys or like scare you off from trying it, because certain things that I say might, hit certain people the wrong way and they might take it the wrong way, and I don't want to scare anybody away or even make you think twice about trying floating. So I had a lot of space inside. It was not small, it wasn't tight, it did not feel like a coffin or a casket. If anybody said that or read that online or read reviews that describe it that way, it's not that. I had lots of space. There was not a high ceiling, but it was high enough to where if I put my hand up, I wouldn't have been able to touch it. From laying on my back and floating, I couldn't have touched the ceiling with my hand if I reached up while I was floating. So that gives you kind of an idea of how much like room to breathe and like whatever. So it's not like a ceiling is just right on your face. That might scare some people off, because that was something that I thought about at first. I was like, what if this thing is literally like a coffin just with 12 inches of water and 1,000 pounds of salt? But so not like that. It also had a light inside and it had music that I could control. So when I first got in, actually there was water. There was of course there was water, but there was there was music and there was a light on, and the light I think was changing colors. I think it was like one of those transition type lights, and so there was knobs that allowed me to basically turn down the music or turn up the music, turn up the light or turn off the light. And of course I told you guys on the way up here that I was going to do the sensory deprivation or sensory reduction, which sounds a little better and less scary, but and that's what I did. So I got in and I laid down, immediately began to float, and I turned off the light and I turned off the music completely. And the water temperature is literally perfect. It's the same temperature as your internal body heat or your skin, so that was pretty great. It was really relaxing, and after a while it begins to feel less like water and more like a supportive substance that I felt like was keeping me up that was holding me and they cared for me, they loved me, there's this extra boost that I just can't describe to you guys right now. And this is what I'm saying. This is why I really encourage you guys to try this at least one time, because although I wasn't in pain, I wasn't even really stressed out before I went in. Obviously, you guys saw my mood, my mentality before I went in. I was very optimistic about this whole experience, about trying it. And I was really excited to see what I was going to get out of it. But my body physically feels somehow healthier right now. I feel more something lively, maybe. I don't know what to call it, but I feel like there's just more life inside of my body. Really weird. Can't describe it any better than that for you guys. I feel this extra sense of clarity, energy, just force like going through me. Let's talk about hallucinations and the comparisons to an acid trip or to shrooms or anything like that. So let me be the first to say that I have not done shrooms, but I have done acid, and I have done acid multiple times. And an isolation pod is nothing like an acid trip, and I seriously think that that's such a terrible way to describe it. That's a terrible thing to compare it to. I say terrible not because it's inaccurate. I say terrible because an acid trip you have no control over, and the hallucinations, the things you see, the things you hear, you really don't have any control over an acid trip whatsoever. So it's very heavily dependent, the outcome of the trip, good or bad, on the person's mindset, how experienced they are with tripping, how well they know themselves, and like, you know, a lot of things that you really only can control if you had that control before you took the acid, if that makes sense. Whereas this isolation pod, while I did not see any visuals, all right, so let me just say that first and foremost, with my eyes closed or my eyes open in the darkness, I didn't see any lights, I didn't see any apparitions, I didn't hear anything other than my heart beating and the sound of my own breath and the water moving. My ears were actually submerged in the water, so it really drowns out the sound of the water being there too, which is really nice. So it amplifies the sound of your heart and breath, but you really don't hear or notice or feel the water, especially after you've been in there just laying still for a minute. You really won't even notice the water being. It's an amazing experience. So I just finished my first 90-minute isolation pod session. If you're on the border or on the fence about trying it, and the stories that you've heard or things that you've read have kind of creeped you out and kind of nudged you away from trying it, just remember this one thing. If nothing else, if you've watched this review, if you're watching this review right now, just take this with you. You can stop this experience. If you get in the pod, you feel claustrophobic, if it is too dark, you don't like the whole feeling of being alone or whatever, if you really don't like it, you can always put your feet on the ground. There's only 12 inches of water, and literally stand up, open the door to the pod, and get out. It's seriously that easy. You can stop the whole experience dead in its tracks. Yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. If you're a loyal subscriber who comes back and watches all my videos and stuff, you're awesome, and thank you, because I know my channel is incredibly random. And let me know in the comments if this video helps you guys actually decide to get out here and go try an isolation pod, because that would make me feel great, honestly, because this is my first time. And today I really thought about putting this off. I can't even describe to you how much I thought about literally putting this off until tomorrow, next week. And I seriously thought about being like, you know what, I'll do this later this week, not a big deal, sounds cool, whatever. But the daredevil inside me was just like, you're 30 minutes away from an experience that you can't get anywhere in the world necessarily. So yeah, definitely worth it. And if this video helps you guys make that decision to go try it out, please let me know how it was for you. Comment, I'll comment back. Like I said, like, subscribe, you guys are awesome, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.